Christmas is that special magical time of year where friends and family come together to exchange gifts, get drunk and spend quality time together arguing about nothing, but as we all know, the most important and crucial element of Christmas is of course none other than Santa Claus. Santa Claus is an integral part of Christmas and one of the most iconic characters of all time. Yes, even more iconic than Batman. But there is a widespread myth out there that our accepted modern day depiction of Santa Claus is nothing more than an advertising gimmick designed by the Coca-Cola Company to boost sales. Well, it's time to unwrap the history of Santa Claus to find out the real truth behind the legend. So, grab some hot chocolate, throw another log in the fire, and let's get started. So, to find out how our modern day Santa Claus came into being, we have to travel all the way back to 4th century Anatolia. Here we find St. Nicholas of Myra. Born into a family of wealthy Greek Christians, Nicholas was also a devout monk and faithful member of the church. He was an extremely generous and kind man. So generous in fact that stories of his charitable deeds spread far and wide all across the Mediterranean world. And it is said that over the course of his life, Nicholas distributed all of his family's wealth to the poor and needy, especially children. After his death, Nicholas became the patron saint of children, and his revered life soon began to be honoured and remembered all throughout Europe. And these remembrances eventually evolved into their own annual feast day, St. Nicholas's Day, on the 6th of December every year. The legend of St. Nicholas would only grow and grow over the years, and eventually in the Netherlands, aspects of St. Nicholas and his legend became more idealised and exaggerated, leading to the creation of a new legendary figure based upon him. This new figure was clad in long red robes, had a large white beard, wore a bishop's mitre, and passed out gifts to children. This new character was also nicknamed Sinterklaas by the public, which was an abbreviation of St. Nicholas. Additionally, during the Reformation, many German and Swiss Protestants would change the name and character of Sinterklaas to Christkindl, meaning Christ child. Dutch and German colonists would then bring the figure of Sinterklaas/Christkindl with them to North America, where the tradition of honouring him would spread amongst the colonies there. Father Christmas first appeared in English folklore around the 15th century. He began as a legendary character who was the personification of Christmas and the Christmas spirit, being an emblem of winter merriment, good cheer and feasting. As a character, Father Christmas's appearance radically changed throughout the centuries. Puritans depicted him as an old man wearing out-of-date clothing, whilst Victorians would illustrate him as a magician who wears a crown wreath made of holly. Even Charles Dickens's character, the ghost of Christmas Present from A Christmas Carol, is also seen as being inspired by Father Christmas. In the British colonies in North America, especially in New York, which was formerly the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam, British and Dutch traditions would intermingle and mix, leading to the Americanization of Christkindl to Kris-Kringle and of Sinterklaas to Santa Claus, beginning around the 1770s. Santa Claus would go through many different iterations in America, and one early depiction of the character came from a description in Clement Clarke Moore's 1823 poem The Night Before Christmas, which describes Santa Claus as more of an elfish and magical type figure. This description then inspired and informed cartoonist Thomas Nast's design of Santa Claus for an issue of Harper's Weekly magazine in 1863. Nast's designs introduced new elements to Santa, such as his red suit with white fur trim, large black belt buckle, and fur-lined red and white nightcap. Nast would continue evolving and refining this design for the rest of the century with his new ever more popular design, changing how the general public perceived and recognised Santa Claus. And as a result, Nast's Santa is now widely seen as the foundational basis for our modern version of Santa Claus. Though the traditional Christmas figure in England had historically been Father Christmas, the broader English public had been aware of Santa Claus at least since the 1820s. And the many similarities of Santa Claus to Father Christmas then led to the latter beginning to assimilate many of the features, characteristics, customs and attributes of Santa Claus. This process would only intensify when Santa Claus would cross the Atlantic, culturally speaking, in newspaper advertisements on transatlantic passenger ships from the United States to England in the 1850s. The merger of these two Christmas cousins happened rather quickly and was already largely complete and standardised by the beginning of the 20th century, with both characters becoming synonymous and interchangeable in England. Even so, Santa Claus's depiction in media and print was still largely in flux at this time thanks to the many different influences of his creation. He was depicted wearing either a large hood or crown and was drawn in many colours such as tan, green, blue, red, brown or yellow. But soon, one definitive version of Santa Claus would emerge over all the others. Now that we've explored Santa's historical origins and seen how he is a product of a combination of various characters and traditions, it's time to see how Coca-Cola became so closely associated with Santa Claus. As I've mentioned, despite many versions and variations of the character existing, the most common version of Santa was that of Thomas Nast's plump and cheery Santa wearing a red and white coat and fur-trimmed nightcap. This version appeared in ads for the satirical Puck magazine and White Rock beverages in the early 20th century, and Coca-Cola began running similar Santa-themed ads in the 1920s. It was also of great happenstance for Coca-Cola that the most popular and common red and white clad Santa Claus fit perfectly into the company's colour scheme and branding. Even so, Coke's first ads were mostly run-of-the-mill and more uninspired than iconic. That was, until they hired artist Haddon Sundblom to paint the character for them beginning in 1931. Sundblom drew inspiration from Clement Clarke Moore's and Thomas Nast's iteration of Santa, as well as building upon others to help create his final iconic Santa design. Sundblom's design became a smash hit with Coke and its consumers, and Sundblom would continue his work for them up until the 1960s. By that point, Coca-Cola and Santa Claus had already become completely intertwined in the public consciousness, leading to the rise of the popular co-created Santa Claus myth. So, whilst Coca-Cola didn't create the modern image of Santa Claus, it did absolutely help to popularise, reinforce and standardise many of Santa's most common features today. Not only that, but Coca-Cola's large media presence, global brand reach and recognition helped to spread and perpetuate this version of Santa Claus throughout the world, only further ingraining and enshrining the modern version of this iconic character in our hearts and minds. Thanks for watching, and if you found this topic as intriguing as I did, don't forget to drop a like, and remember to subscribe to see more content like this in the future.